Hey guys, jeg heter Zach the Demon Lord. Hey guys, this is Isaac the Demon Lord, and yet again another YouTube video. I got some software on my computer where I can record the screen and stuff. So we're going to be trying out some more reaction and reviewing sort of type of videos. I'm new to this, so who knows how well I will do, but I will surely try. Today, as promised, we're going to be going over Duolingo. I'll show you guys how to use Duolingo, and we'll go over all the features and stuff, and yeah, let's just get into it. So, to start, this is what the, front part of Duolingo will look like. You'll see sort of all these little lessons you can do, and when you click on the lessons, I should go back down to where I am with this. One moment. We'll go back down to the bottom. It will automatically usually take you to where you are. But yeah, so this is where I am. So if you click on where you are, for example, this one, the lesson is called These Numbers. As it says right here. It'll also tell you how many lessons there are in the course itself for that little bubble or whatever. So in this case, there is 6 lessons in the course, and I'm on number 4. And then after I get to 6, it would go away, and I can move on to the next one. Also, each of them usually gives you about 10 XP. And in the corner, it'll tell you what it thinks like the level of the lesson is, or whatever. In this case, it says it's hard. I wouldn't necessarily say it's hard, but maybe for some. But anyways, not to sound like the best person ever, but yeah. One thing I will mention, if you're new to Duolingo, who is new to Duolingo, I have no clue. But Duolingo does a lot of ads. One big ad is they like to try to get you to subscribe to their super or premium or whatever. They do let you occasionally use it for free, which is pretty fun, but yeah. One interesting thing about Duolingo, they have leagues. I'm currently in the Pearl League. There's a bunch of different leagues. It goes up to, like, I think Obsidian. But yeah, basically you just gotta get a lot of points, and if you get more points than everyone else in your bracket, you get to move on to the next league, and vice versa. If you have too little, you go down a league. There's also quests for the day. I already did Duolingo for the day, but they'll give you some stuff like this: making 30 points, scoring 80% on all your lessons or higher, and so many of them. Some listening exercises. These are some standard things you can see. And yeah, that's some typical stuff you'll see. One thing with the free version of Duolingo, they have hearts, and so what the hearts will do is it makes it to where you can only make so many mistakes before it won't let you do any more lessons or anything. There's also gems that allow you to buy stuff. We'll go ahead and go to the shop. So as an example, you could buy yourself some hearts. You could buy a free streak, which with Duolingo has like a streak thing, so it encourages you to use it every day. You can also double or nothing, which I forgot to do, so let's do that. And yeah, the only other thing in the shop, and this requires extra money, is you can buy a plushie of the Duolingo owl. Who wants to do that? I don't know. But yeah, that is something you can technically do. And this is your streak thing. So you can go through the calendar and it'll tell you what days you're on, and it'll also show you where you used the streak saver thing or not. But yeah, that's pretty nifty if you're into, I don't know, tracking how long you've been using something, I guess. There's also some tabs on the side. So the Learn tab, this just takes you to the main page. The Practice tab, this just takes you over here. And this is mainly just for super sort of people that have the premium, is that they can look over their mistakes and listen and speak and do that sort of practice. Next is the leaderboard tab. This will show you what league you're in, as well as how you're standing over here. So in my case, I'm just below the promotion zone, so I'll probably just stay where I am. It'll also show you like some stuff you can add onto your profile picture. In my case, as the Swedish flag. But you also have the plethora of other things like a flex, 100%, a crap for some reason, and a cat, and some other things. But yeah, that's really all that's here though. Is it just shows you how points wise how you're doing in your league. But yeah, next is the quest tab. So one thing that Duolingo does is they'll have a monthly quest, and basically, you have to pass so many quests in order to get this like badge. I've gotten them all so far, but yeah, there's like special badges for passing all your quests and stuff. I already went over shop. I'm not gonna go into profile because I'll probably have some personal stuff. But if you go to hover over them more, you can see the Duolingo schools. There might be some other tabs in other languages, but yeah. For now, though, what we'll next do is I'm going to show you what all Duolingo has to offer. And so we'll start, since you're watching this video probably, obviously in English. We'll show you what you can learn as an English speaker. So to kick it off, you can learn Spanish, you can learn French, you can learn Japanese, Korean, German, Hindi, Italian, and Chinese. And then we'll scroll down. You can also learn Russian, Arabic, Portuguese, Turkish, Vietnamese, Dutch, Greek, and Polish, and Swedish, Latin, Irish, and Norwegian, specifically in bulk model form. And next up, there's Ukrainian, there's Hebrew, Indonesian, Finnish, Hungarian, which, if I looked into this enough, is a sort of fantasy language from the Game of Thrones series. Correct me if I'm mistaken. There's also Danish, Romanian, Czech, Hawaiian, Welsh, Zulu, Swahili, and then lastly, there's Hungarian, Scottish Gaelic, Haitian Creole, Esperanto, Klingon, and Klingon is it's a make-believe language from Star Trek. And then there's Navajo, and then there's Yiddish. And Yiddish, for people that don't know what Yiddish is, it's sort of a Germanic language spoken by certain Jews and it uses the Hebrew alphabet. I don't know how else to describe it besides that, but yeah, that's what that is. But that's what you can learn as an English speaker. However, the unique thing about this language learning site is it's not just totally geared towards English speakers. It, of course, is for other peoples, and so what we'll do is we'll go over them. So to start, if you speak Indonesian, all you can learn is English. For Czech speakers, you can also only learn English. Now, if you speak German, you have the options of English, Spanish, French, and Italian. If you speak, we already went over English, so next is Spanish. If you speak Spanish, you have English, you have French, Italian, Portuguese, German, Russian, and Catalan, and then Swedish. For those of you who don't know, Catalan is sort of I don't know whether to call it a dialect or its own language, but basically, it's a very Spanish-based language that is a little different from normal Spanish. It's spoken in like the province or area called Catalonia, and I would say it's like Spanish, but more similar to Italian, if that makes sense. So they'll use a lot more of the Italian-esque words, if that makes sense. So, like, for example, Like, I think, if I remember right, in Spanish, you would say, like, mujer. But, like, in Catalan, you'd say something more towards the idea of, like, donna in Italian, something along those lines, if I remember woman right in Italian. I don't do much with the Romance languages, but if I remember right. Anyways, next up, we'll go over what French speakers can do, which is English, Spanish, Italian, German, and Portuguese. Next, we'll do Italian, which is English, Spanish, French, and German. That's what they can learn. Next, we got Hungarian with English and German. After that comes Dutch with English, French, and German. Then comes Polish with just English. And then after that is Portuguese with English, Spanish, French, Italian, and German. Next we have Romanian with purely just English. Next we have Tagalog with English. Vietnamese with English and Chinese. Turkish with English, German, and Russian. And then scroll down. For Greek, there's only the English. And then Russian speakers can learn English, German, French, and Spanish. Ukrainian speakers can learn only English. Arabic speakers can do English, French, German, and Swedish. Hindi speakers only got the option of English. Bengali, also only English. Telugu, only English. Thai, only English. For Koreans, speakers, only English. Chinese speakers can learn English. Japanese, Chinese, and the Cantonese, so the Cantonese sort of form of Chinese. Korean, French, Spanish, and Italian. And lastly, but not least, Japanese speakers can learn English, Korean, Chinese, and French. And so with that, now that we have gone over all the languages, we can tell that this is definitely a very inclusive platform. You can learn a lot of languages, a lot more than what most language sites will offer, and for totally for free. Besides the fact that you run out of the hearts, and there's ads. But yeah, that is what you can learn. And so, next up though, what does it look like to take a lesson? I could do the Swedish. Yeah, let's do a Swedish lesson. So what you'll do is you'll go to your thing, you'll click start, and then it'll load for a little bit. While it's loading, I'm also going to switch my keyboard to Swedish mode. So let's turn up the volume on my end so I can hear what it's saying. But yeah, so this is an example of type what you hear. And so,
jag läser siffran.
Okay, så säger jag läser siffran.
14.
14.
Min son är 14 år gammal.
Min son är 14 år gammal. So my son is 14 years old.
Det är 12 ägg i lådan.
Now, I just want you to see what it looks like when you fail something, so I'm just going to type some random things. This is what it'll do, at least on the computer version. So we see that we've lost a heart, it'll tell you you lost a heart, and then it tells you to keep going. And so, continue.
Han ger mig 15 äpplen.
15, okay. 15 äpplen.
Ett stort antal människor.
Ett stort antal människor. A large number of people.
Jag läser 11 böcker i månaden. Jag läser 11 böcker i månaden. Jag läser 11 böcker i månaden.
Yeah, I was right. So there we go. This is an example of fill the box. By the way, I do have a keyboard for Swedish specifically, which I like better. But in the chance or case that you don't have a keyboard, what it will do is it will give you the option to click the letters below. I do think it's easier having the keyboard installed on your computer, so that way you can just type the letters. But whatever the case is, yeah. I think that's a good thing because some language sites will not have this option of tapping the letters in. So yeah, let's say det är 12 ägg i lådan. Okay, it wants us to type in 11. So this is another case where it checks you for can you spell stuff. So we're gonna put 11. Okay, it lets you know that you're doing a good job. You can
Antalet soldater är stort. Antalet soldater är stort.
Antalet soldater är stort. Vilken antal, I believe, is you can also siffra. So that's one thing I forgot to show you. What you can do is you can hover over the words and it'll give you like options for what words could mean. Of course, it's not going to just give you like there's an answer, like there's a better answer. Sometimes Duolingo does word things very weird, but yeah, there is an answer. So yeah, I saw that right. Yeah, siffra.
12 flickor och 15 pojkar leker i parken.
15. Okay. Okay. Now it wants us to translate. So
Min son är 14 år gammal.
Now it wants us to spell out 12, which is 12. Oh, it's telling us we're doing a good job.
11.
11. A number of years. So, ett antal år.
15.
15.
Det är 12 ägg i lådan.
There are 12 egg i lådan. There are 12 eggs in the box. Okay, and now that we finish, it's going to load. It'll tell us something like we're listening star. It'll tell us the percentage we got. Because I missed that one on purpose, we got 94. It'll also tell us that we got 14 XP. Sometimes they'll throw in bonus XP and stuff. You can also get some double XP stuff, but yeah. Anyways, continue on. No thank you. Okay, now we're back at the main page. What I'm now going to do, though, is I want to switch over to the Japanese course. Because sometimes there's some extra buttons and other cool knickknacks. Yes, and so here's an example of this. They have the characters tab. So this is a new thing that they started doing a lot. I'm not going to go through and try them out because it's harder on a keyboard or computer or whatever rather than using a phone. But they've added this feature where you can learn to write out the characters and stuff. They'll do this for Japanese. They do it for Korean. I think they started doing it for Chinese as well. I think as well they do it for Russian and Hebrew. There might be some others, but I don't really know. But these are the main ones that I do know of those. The Japanese, the Korean, and I know the Russian for sure. But yeah. Now, I will mention with the characters on my computer, it only gives you the option for hiragana and katakana. But if you are also wanting to learn to write the kanjis, they do have that on the phone version of the app. And now we'll go back to learn. One thing I also wanted to show you, and yes, I am very far ahead, they do have some guidebooks along the way. So like this is like tip 1 example. they'll give you some, key phrases. Like here it says sushi kudasai, or sushi please. Ocha kudasai, green tea please. Gohan to mizu kudasai, rice and water please. Mizu desu, it's water. And so, especially with these, it's showing us, tip of how to say please give me something. It'll also, give you some tips down here and tell you how things work. And so, yeah, I think that's a good thing, is that Duolingo does along the way. It's not just a bunch of just guideless lessons. They do have tips and stuff here and there for you to learn. Now, we're going to be on this page for a while now, but what are my thoughts about Duolingo? Well, I think Duolingo is actually a very good website. I know a lot of people want to meme about it, but I do think it's a very good website. I've tried a lot of language websites, and there's a lot of them that you have to pay for it. If you want the premium deal, they'll only give you like 3 lessons, and then you gotta pay or something. A lot of them go with more of a story-based thing, which I don't have problems with. If that's your style of learning, that's your style of learning. But personally, that is not my style of learning. Anyways, sorry for that. Anyways, but yeah. As I was saying, there's a lot of other language websites, and they do their own thing. I just think Duolingo does things better than most in some aspects. The thing I really like with Duolingo is you can hover over each of the words, which will allow you to pay attention to where the words go in the sentence. Now, when you speak with a native speaker, if you have good pronunciation and they know the words you're saying, they can maybe piece together what you're trying to say, but it'll be very hard for them. But with Duolingo, you can hover over those words one by one and see the grammar, or at least get a glimpse of the grammar. And if not, they have the tips. They have the tips. You can go into the tips, you can read about it along the way. Now, do I think you can use Duolingo alone and get fluent? No. Duolingo is not a tool for getting fluent. Duolingo is simply a tool for getting you from a beginner or intermediate, like sort of a beginner position in a language, and making you at a high beginner, intermediate level of at least having an air of the language. I think that's the biggest thing. There's a lot of people that want to focus on, I know the grammar completely, or I know thousands and thousands of words, or thousands and thousands of characters if it's Japanese or Chinese, but what's more important than that is just having a general air of the language. And what I mean by that is, for us that speak English as our first native tongue, we're not born speaking English. It's a skill that we develop little by little. We don't start from a mid base. We start from the bottom and we grow ourselves up. And then once we get to a fluent sort of area, like you probably don't know how English works unless you study English like very heavily and language sort of stuff. Like, you probably don't realize why the words go in the places they go. And so that's why I think Duolingo is good, is that it can give us an idea of, where the words go. And another thing with Duolingo is that, they cover a vast area of topics. Everything that from very serious legal stuff to just everyday, you go into the grocery store, to silly imaginary stuff. One thing that is Duolingo is very well known for, and it's not my personal cup of tea, but I do think it's a good idea in some aspects, especially dealing with children and stuff, is that they like to put animals in a human perspective. Like, you'll see a whole bunch of weird sentences like, Mr. Bear and Mrs. Tiger go on a date at the mall or something. Like, they put animals in sort of a human perspective. It depends what language course. Some of them do it more than others. Some of them are more serious and more human things. But yeah, I will also say, at least with Duolingo today versus Duolingo of the past, it is a quite a bit of difference. I've been using this app for years. In the beginning, each of the language courses were made by other people. Other people could input their own input and help create a course. But now that Duolingo is more of a company, they do have some language standards that the courses need to be at. And so they hire people sort of in those language fields to make sure that the courses are as close to 100% the guidelines of that language. I will make a caveat right here, right now. Don't expect Duolingo to make you totally prepared if you travel or go move to another country. There is a realistic aspect that Duolingo is going to teach you the most textbook version of the language possible. And so, for example, some languages are different. It's going to teach you, for example, Spanish. It's going to teach you like textbook Spanish. It's not going to make it, Spain Spanish or Mexican Spanish or Argentinian Spanish. They're just teaching you Spanish as a whole. Same thing would go with Japanese, for example. They're going to teach you like the Tokyo sort of standard version. So if you go to Okinawa or Hokkaido or somewhere else, might be different. Moving on to another language, Swedish, for example. Not that many people are going to be learning Swedish, but they're going to teach you the Stockholm version of Swedish, not the Gothenburg or the even the Finnish version. They're going to be teaching you the Stockholm version of Swedish. And so that is one thing to keep in mind, is that it's very useful if you're going to a capital of somewhere, but not so much if you're going out in the boonies somewhere else. Not that other cities are boonies, but just keep that in mind, that they're teaching you the textbook version. But having knowledge of the textbook version is better than having no knowledge of the language at all. But yeah. Anyways, I think that's been a lot of ranting. I think Duolingo is a good beginner or intermediate sort of app. It's definitely not going to make you fluent. And I don't think any app can make you fluent. The only thing that can make you completely fluent in a language is by using it. You go out, you use it, move to that country, travel in that country, you use it with the people help teach you, you teach yourself, read lots of books, a lot of literature, listen to music, watch movies, do all those cool things. Yeah. Ultimately, if you do those things in a language, it's going to help you a lot more than using an app. But overall, I do think Duolingo is very good for at least getting your square one, even your square two, square three. It'll get you squared off in a lot of ways. It helps with grammar. It does have some listening, although some of the audio is a little questionable, depending on how rare the language is. There's listening practice. There's also speaking practice, at least on your phone. I don't know if it does that on a computer, but yeah, it's been good. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you did, please like, please subscribe, share with friends and family that are interested in this sort of content, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one. And until then, hey-do.